All right, so I am going to go over a couple of examples for expanding binomials. So I'm going to start with 1C from your worksheet. So in this case, to expand, I'm going to show you two different ways to do it. So we've got the first way where we're just going to give this piece to each of the next pieces. So that's 2x times 5. So my next line gives me 10x. And 2x times negative x, remember you have to include the negative. That will give me negative 2, and then x times x is x squared. Okay, so the negative times the 2 is negative 2, and x times x gives me x squared. So then I'm going to rewrite it so that my x squared comes first and my x comes second. So there you go. Easy peasy. Now, if we want to use the box method, I will do the box method down here. So that would be, if I was setting this up, I would do 2x and 5 and negative x, okay? So you'd set it up like that. So 2 times 5 gives me 10. X times nothing gives me x. And then 2 times negative gives me negative 2. X times x gives me x squared. Okay, and then I set them up in the order I want them in, which is the x squareds first. So we want to like count backwards, right? So there's an x squared here. This is actually when there's no number, it's x to the 1. So you're like 3, 2, 1, like whatever. So you go 2 and then 10x to the 1. We just don't write with the 1. Okay, so you notice we get the same answer both ways. You can do it either way, whichever one makes you happy. So we're going to do 2h now. So 2h, this one you have to do the first one like that. So that will give me 2x times 3x gives me 6x squared. And 2x times 5 will give me 2 times 5 is 10. X times nothing is x. Okay? And then we have to do that for the second piece. So we've got this negative 4 times both of these pieces as well. And that starts looking a little messy. So we got our negative 4 times positive 3 is negative 12. And there's an x in there, so we have to include it. And we got negative 4 times positive 5, which will give me negative 20. And then we have to collect these pieces in the middle because we've got all these x's. So we've got a positive 10 minus 12. So if I have 10 apples and I take away 12 apples, I'm going to have negative 2x minus 20. And we don't combine them with anything else because the x squareds belong together. That's like having bananas. And then the x's are together. That's like having apples. And the 20 is just all by itself because it doesn't have any x's. Okay, so you can't combine things that aren't alike. So we only combine the things that end in x, and it gives us this here. Now, if we were going to do it using the tic-tac-toe or the box method, we have to draw our little box. And we do 2x and negative 4, 3x, and 5. And you don't have to do it with this one here. This one could be here. Okay, it doesn't matter which one ends up where, as long as all of them end up somewhere on this piece. So that gives me 2 times 3 gives me 6. X times x is x squared. 3 times 4 gives me negative 12. And there's 1x, so we put the x there. We got 5 times 2 gives me 10. And then there's an x there, so I have to put the x in. And then 5 times 4 is negative 20. Now you might find that this method is easier than all the arrows because as you can see, once you get through the first round of arrows, it gets kind of muddy. So if you can keep track of all of the arrows, that's great. And if you prefer this method, you're welcome to do this too. But again, you still have to end up putting it in this final form here. So it will look like you've got your 6x squared. You have to add these together. Okay, so I got my negative 12 plus 10 will give me negative 2x and negative 20. Okay, same answer twice. So there you go. Now, for the challenge, I'm gonna have to bump the camera here a little bit because this is farther down the page. So for the challenge, we want you to expand this out. So hopefully you've given yourself a chance to try this first. But this is how you solve it. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do, when we have anything that's squared, it means we're multiplying it by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is write it out twice, because that's the best way to keep myself organized. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off to the side. I'm going to do an aside. So you can do the rainbow method. I'm going to use the tic-tac-toe or the box method just so it stays in a small space. You are welcome to do the other method. It says x minus 3 and x minus 3. Okay, so x times x gives me x squared, negative 3x. Oh, and I'll add these extra lines for you so you can see. Okay, so we've got x times negative 3 is negative 3x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. So if I add all of these together, it will give me x squared minus 6x, because that's negative 3 plus negative 3 plus 9, because I got my 9 left over here. So now that I know that this is the same as this, I can put this where this was. So I can write 2, and then I'll write what I have here. X squared minus 6x plus 9 plus 5. Okay? So then, now I get to do my rainbow. So I'm going to take this 2, and I'm going to give it to each of these pieces here. So 2 times x squared will give me 2x squared. 2 times negative 6 will give me negative 12. And there's an x, so I have to leave it there. And I've got 2 times 9 will give me 18. And then I just add the plus 5 on the end. So now I just need to collect my final things. So I've got this 18 and this 5 I want to add together because I have all the x squareds together. I have all the x's together, but I have 2 random numbers here that are not together, so I'm going to put them together. Give me 2x squared minus 12x. 18 plus 5, so that's plus 23. Okay, so hopefully you got a similar answer to me, or this was helpful to you. A reminder that I am always available by email if you get stuck, and you can always come in at lunch and ask me more questions. See you in class.